flashing lights. In the zone, no losing sight. Pedal down, it's a blur of speed. Every turn just what we need. Drifting close to that white line. Pushing boundaries, feeling fine. Duracell cup, we race through night. Hearts are pounding, fierce and bright. Speeding past the checkered flag. Victory on the line, we brag. Helmet on, the world fades out. Focus sharp among the shouts. From the start to finish line, through the chaos we all shine. Grip the wheel tight, knuckles white. Thrill of danger heightens might. Crowds electric, senses burn. In this circus shadows turn. Lap by lap we chase the dream. Rivals' eyes flash in the beam. Sweat and tears we fight as one. In the end we rise like sun. We race through night, hearts are pounding, fierce and bright. Speeding past the checkered flag, victory on the line, we brag. Helmet on, the world fades out. Focus sharp among the shouts. From the start to finish line, through the chaos we all shine. Grip the wheel tight, knuckles white. Thrill of danger heightens might. Crowds electric, senses burn. In this circus shadows turn. Lap by lap we chase the dream. Rivals' eyes flash in the beam. Sweat and tears we fight as one. In the end we rise like sun. Sun, like sun. We rise like sun. We rise like sun. Engine roar, crowd goes wild. Fuel's on fire, adrenaline piled. Nights alive with flashing lights. In the zone, no losing sight. Pedal down, it's a blur of speed. Every turn just what we need. Drifting close to that white line. Pushing boundaries, feeling fine. Duracell cup, we race through night. Hearts are pounding, fierce and bright. Speeding past the checkered flag. Victory on the line, we brag. Helmet on, the world fades out. Focus sharp among the shouts. From the start to finish line, through the chaos we all shine. Grip the wheel tight, knuckles white. Thrill of danger heightens might. Crowds electric, senses burn. In this circus shadows turn. Lap by lap we chase the dream. Rivals' eyes flash in the beam. Sweat and tears we fight as one. In the end we rise like sun. We race through night, hearts are pounding, fierce and bright. Speeding past the checkered flag, victory on the line, we brag. Helmet on, the world fades out. Focus sharp among the shouts. From the start to finish line, through the chaos we all shine. Grip the wheel tight, knuckles white. Thrill of
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, race fans. Welcome here as we get ready to cap off what's been an incredible weekend here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway with the longest race of the season, Season 8 of the NNSCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. This is the Coca-Cola 600, the fourth and final of our crown jewel races, and 160 enduring laps await these 42 drivers here this afternoon. Well, we're coming off the heels of the All-Star break at the Atlanta Super Speedway. We're now beginning the segment of the season that we've now dubbed the push towards the playoffs. 13 races, including this afternoon, and we will know who the drivers will be that will battle for this season's championship. 10 drivers will get in on points. 6 drivers will get in via the wild card spots, and already drivers are kind of making plans, making scenarios for them to be able to be locked in even this early on in the season, but a lot of moving pieces will be taking place here in the upcoming few weeks. We've got a lot of wild card races that are going to be coming up. I mean, next week we're at another super speedway at Progressive. We've got the upcoming road course at Donkey Kong's Jungle Raceway that these drivers have never raced on before. We've got Bristol Dirt near the end of this regular season. I mean, there are a lot of X-Factor tracks that these drivers are going to have to deal with, along with a number of the conventional ones as well. But we kick things off here to see who's got really the best long-run setup. We ended up seeing yesterday in the Duracell Ultra Light Series race only one caution and a lot of long green flag runs, so expect to see a lot of that here this afternoon as well. Leading us to the green is going to be Quentin Moore. Quentin capturing the second pole of his Duracell Cup Series career. He's looking for his second win of his career as well. Been very consistent here this season. First half of this regular season, he finds himself 8th in the point standings. Granted, he's done it without even a top 5 finish. He's only had 2 finishes inside of the top 10, but I stated this before, beginning of the season, last season, you can get consistent top 15s and still make your way into a playoff position. That consistency is still rewarded, and Quentin Moore is a prime example of that. He'll be alongside of a driver who's been to victory lane not once but twice here this season. That would be Matt Haas. Won the season opener at Daytona, went on to win as well at the other super speedway we've run at Dragonette, so obviously he'll be a favorite when we get to Progressive Super Speedway next week. But Matt Haas comes into this race 15th in the point standings with his 2 victories outside the top 10. He is right now in the number 1 wild card seed. He'd like to point his way back up into the top 10 in points here this afternoon and tie Carson Gum with a season-leading 3rd victory here in Season 8. Defending winner of this race, going to be starting up pretty close to the front of the field. That's Connor Breeden, who was a former winner this season back at another crown jewel race, Darlington. We'll see if he can go to victory lane in back-to-back seasons. And Eric Monaco is alongside of him on the inside of row number 2. Eric Monaco, the defending Light Series champion, still searching for that first career win. Let's go down trackside, get those most famous words in motorsports, because it's going to be a long one here this afternoon at Charlotte.
Drivers, start your engines!
42 engines fire. They'll roll off the grid behind the pace car, getting set for today's final crown jewel race. starting lineup on the bottom right of your screen, and let's give you a look at what the current playoff situation looks like coming into this first race of the second half of the regular season. We've got new points leaders at the top of the standings. You heard right, points leaders. There's a tie, actually, for the points lead coming into this afternoon. Levi McIntyre and three-time winner Carson Gum sit adjoined at the top of the playoff grid, with James Qualls, the former points leader, dropping to third after Chicagoland. 19 points out of the points lead. Ryan Brommer is moved up to fourth. He's 31 points out, and then Alexander Rose sits fifth. He is 35 points out of the top position in standings. Matt McIntyre, Jack Mitchell, our All-Star Race winner, pole sitter Quentin Moore, Michael Norman, and Eric Sadler, the rest of your top 10 in the point standings right now. Matt Haas holds the number 1 wildcard seed with 2 wins, 15th in overall points. Dustin Bolin, 28th in the standings with 2 wins, is in the number 2 wildcard spot. Connor Breton, who won a couple of weeks ago at Darlington, former winner here, 23rd in points with a victory, is in the number 3 wildcard spot. And the final 3 wildcard positions go to the next drivers highest in points without a win, which are Benjamin Miles, Cole Deaver, Summer Henson, 11th, 12th, and 13th in the standings as green flag is out, and we are underway here in the Coca-Cola 600. There are 2 drivers, 2 former winners, that are outside the top 30 in the standings, so right now they are not in playoff positions. We'll be keeping our eyes here this afternoon on Daniel Voiles and Nathan Ormond, who both lost 6 spots in the standings each after Chicagoland. Voiles is 36th in points, Nathan Ormond 37th. And Quentin Moore will lead the first lap of the afternoon from the pole position. Matt Haas will slot into second, Monaco back to third. Snyder will now move into 4th place as battle on for the lead going into 3. Here comes Matt Haas. Hooks the bottom through 3 and 4, clears off the final corner, and the Endurance Karting Toyota Camry is going to lead a lap. Saw Toyota go to victory lane yesterday in the Duracell Ultra Light Series race. Juan Garcia on fuel strategy, able to make it to the conclusion for his first career win. Could we see a driver here this afternoon get their first career win? You got Eric Monaco out in front showing the way here in the PNC Bank Ford Mustang out of Lake Effect Autosport. Eric, the defending Light Series champion from last season, moved up to the Cup Series, is still looking for that first elusive Cup Series checkered flag, and looking for a little bit of momentum as well, as Eric coming into this one 25th in the overall point standings. He had a great run though last time out at Chicagoland, moving up 4 spots in the standings. That might have been the turnaround for him. You know, the rookies, we've seen in the past, we've definitely seen where rookies, they want to prove something, so they show out really early on in the season, but it doesn't happen for all rookies. Sometimes it takes them a little bit of time to get adjusted to their team, get adjusted to their crew chief, get adjusted to the car itself. I mean, these Cup cars are completely different from what they run down in the Light Series, especially when you go back to last season. Last season, they ran the Gen 6 version of the cars. Now they're in the Xfinity cars, so entirely different type of animal to get used to. And maybe we saw last time out at Chicagoland, maybe that was Eric Monaco finally getting that period of adjustment that he needed, and now he can start to go out there and be competitive. Connor Breton, saw him back at Darlington pick up his 4th career win. Last year he was a 3-time winner in the Duracell Cup Series in his rookie season, and it all kicked off right here at Charlotte. He would go on to win 2 more races 1 season ago. Qualified well, was 4th rolling off the lineup, and looking good right now. See if he can win back-to-back Coca-Cola 600s. Quentin Moore closing up on him for 2nd. A couple of Fords complete out the top 5. Benjamin Snyder in that 4th position. Snyder had that great run going back at Darlington. comes into this race currently situated in 26th in points. And right behind him, Michael Norman, currently in a playoff spot after he pointed his way up into the top 10 last time out at Chicagoland. He's 9th in the point standings. Looking strong here this evening as well. Good battle going on behind them for the 6th position. This is actually a battle for the lead up ahead. Connor Breton to the inside of Eric Monaco. We'll keep an eye on that as we also watch Ryan Brommer make his way by Jessica Shelton. Brommer going to pick up the 6th position as Breton did take the lead in the 88. Ryan Brommer coming into this one 4th in the point standings. Up 2 positions after Chicagoland. Saw him run well in the All-Star race as well, transferred in via the All-Star Open. And another driver we got to give a little bit of a highlight to here this afternoon has got to be Kyle Langland. We saw him yesterday in the Duracell Ultralight Series race. It was announced this past weekend that Langland would attempt to qualify the remainder of the season in a second entry out of World NOS Racing, and went out there, showed up a couple of really good drivers in knockout qualifying yesterday, and today making his Duracell Next Gen Cup Series debut. Qualified well as also he qualified up inside the top 10, and right now he's running in the 8th position. I believe he just picked up the 7th spot from Jessica Shelton, so looking really strong here. He's got the extra track time from the race yesterday. Let's keep an eye on this Icebreakers Dark Horse Mustang. Connor Breton did lead for 2 laps, and Eric Monaco passed him right back. So Monaco back to the point. Breton falls back to 2nd. Snyder got around Quentin Moore to move up to 3rd. Moore's now back there in a battle for 4th with Michael Norman, Ryan Brommer, Kyle Langland, and others. Another driver I noticed back there who I think is starting to fade towards the back of the top 10, but Jessica Shelton in the Mac Tonight Dodge Intrepid Project Car of S3 Motorsports. I talked about this in knockout qualifying and qualifying session yesterday. There's a whole laundry list of drivers that are down outside of the top 30 in the point standings that they're just looking for a turnaround point of this season, and maybe the All-Star break is exactly what they need. Jessica Shelton, Austin LaPlante, Anthony McCrory, Daniel Voiles, Kyle Matthews, Dylan Young, Caleb Fogler, Jesse Turner, Charles Sanford. I mean, there's some big names down there outside the top 30 in the points. Shelton coming in as the defending champion. You know, at what point do they finally get this thing turned around? And it is still possible. I mean, you think back, I alluded to this yesterday, you think back to last season, Zach Rogers absolutely struggled for about 2/3 of the regular season. He then found something in that final third down maybe the final half of the second half of the regular season, found victory lane, accumulated enough points to be able to win out in a tiebreaker for the final wild card position. Now, I'm not saying necessarily that all those lists of drivers that I gave you, that they're going to put together great consistent runs and be up inside the top 10 in points, but hey, you run consistent enough to get yourself up in the top 30 in points, get a couple of wins along the way, and you're in a wild card conversation. So every single driver, despite the fact that a couple of them down there like LaPlante and Shelton are nearing almost 200 points out of the points lead, there are still scenarios available to them and plenty of races and laps left to be run for them to be able to get into a playoff conversation. And it could kick off right here this afternoon at Charlotte. Kind of odd how we have our 4 crown jewel races all near the beginning of the season within the first 14 points paying races, but that's just the way the schedule falls, and so far we've had 3 different drivers go to victory lane in those crown jewel races. Matt Haas won the Daytona 500, James Qualls won the Brickyard 400 at Indy, and Connor Breton won the Darlington race. Right now, Breton the highest running of those 3, up in 2nd place. Matt Haas is back in 14th, and James Qualls right now is scored in the 27th position. One thing that we're not 100% certain about up here in the booth either is the fuel numbers this afternoon. We knew that in the lights race yesterday, it was going to be about 60 to 65 laps. Not sure what it's going to be like here today, and not really sure if we're looking at a potential one-stop or a two-stop race. But we ended up seeing, I don't really think you can blame it on pit road, what caused our only caution here yesterday in the late series event. It was really, let's be honest, it was a driver not giving another driver room, and it had its consequences off turn 4 onto the front straightaway. But for the most part, as far as woeing up, giving enough room for drivers to back off and get down onto the apron to enter onto pit road, they did a great job in yesterday's lights race, and hopefully we'll see the same thing here in the Cup Series race if indeed we end up having a round of green flag pit stops. As we look at Carson Gum, working his way up into the top 10. Last time by, he was scored in the 9th position. I believe he just took the 8th spot from Jessica Shelton there, out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. Carson with 3 wins on the season, co-points leader with Levi McIntyre, who's only a couple cars behind him. You see him, the red and white Nutella Ford back there. But a career year for Carson Gum, and looking to continue to add to it as he continues to march forward here, trying to get up to the top 5. Alexander Rowe, the car is right behind. Alexander 5th in point standings, 35 points out of the points lead. A great return for him here to Duracell Next Gen Cup Series competition. Hadn't seen him since season 5, I believe it was. Yes, it was season 5 when he was in the 3-driver effort with Auto Junction Racing. And right now holding down a solid spot inside of the top 10, going to look for 6th on the rookie Kyle Langland. Back up at the front, Ryan Brommer is on the move. He is reeled in the top 3, just made his way around Connor Breton to get up onto the podium. Breton going to charge back to the inside. Been a long time since Ryan Brommer's gone to victory lane. I don't have the exact number of races it's been since his last victory, but he's winless over here with Auto Junction Racing. He was winless when he drove back in season 5 for Fortnite Squad Racing. I think it was Fortnite Squad Racing. It was either Fortnite Squad Racing or Pigeon Racing back then. I can't remember which team name it was under. Last time that Ryan Brommer went to victory lane was when he was driving the number 9 car for Bulldog Motorsports, teammate to Zach Rogers. So that's going back to potentially season 3, maybe season 4. But he's got himself one Fast Mug Root Beer Toyota Camry here. Worked his way by Snyder and now sets his sights on the race leader Eric Monaco. Top 4 have been able to kind of break away too. They've got about 1.8, 1.9 seconds back to Quentin Moore in that group. We'll see if that group can catch up to this top 4 or if they'll be able to continue to increase the distance. Only 25 laps in and already you've only got a quartet up here in the conversation for the race lead. Eric Monaco's car looks strong though. Again, we were talking about the fact that we were fully expecting to see long green flag runs here this afternoon. A lot of drivers qualified up at the front of the field, obviously putting a lot of emphasis on short run speed. Maybe not as much on long run speed. A lot of drivers towards the rear of the field you think probably would have been focused on long run speed. And you know, we're looking right now, there are quite a number of drivers that stand out that are working their way forward. Ryan Brommer is obviously the chief of those, but also been noticing Carson Gum's been working his way forward. Austin LaPlante has also been moving forward as well. So there are drivers that are definitely set up for the long run and are finding their cars very comfortable in dirty air as Brommer trying to clear Monaco for the top spot. Monaco going to charge back on the top side through 3 and 4. Power move by Eric Monaco to keep Ryan Brommer at bay for the time being. Brommer going to try again. Low side going into turn 1. And now Breton and Snyder going to get into this conversation. And there, Monaco, you saw inside line much stronger. A lot more grip down there. Had to bail out of the throttle. He'll lose second, but was able to tuck in line in front of Snyder to keep third. Let's drop back to that 5th place on back battle, which now is Carson Gum leading that group. They are continuing to actually lose ground to the front 4, despite the fact those 4 drivers were all side by side and battling each other, but they're battling back here as well. Quentin Moore now looking to the inside of Carson Gum. And this is just stalling out the momentum of this group from being able to maybe organize up a draft party to reel in the top 4, because much like in a super speedway, you're dragging the other car back. You're slowing the other car down when you're side by side. Not only that, but neither car is getting the optimal line that they want to be able to put down the good consistent lap times, because obviously they have to give room to the other car beside them. Is that middle line, that middle to outside line, definitely coming in. It's definitely rubbered up through 3 and 4. So it looks like low side 1 and 2 advantage, high side 3 and 4 advantage, as Quentin Moore really, you saw right there, slid up the track. He had to catch it. Nice job of saving it. As now he's under fire from Kyle Langland. Monaco was able to get back by Ryan Brommer. Monaco now leading his 25th lap of the afternoon. That's the most that he's led in his career so far in the Cup Series. Prior to today, Monaco had led 19 laps in the first 13 races, so he has eclipsed that in 1 race alone. Kind of interesting looking through the statistics here. If you try and take a guess who has led the most laps this season, answer might actually surprise you. If I were asked, I would be saying, well, more than likely Carson Gum with 3 victories. No, that's not the case. Carson's only led 119 laps so far this season. Most laps led so far, 143, led by Jack Mitchell. So how about that? I believe those are the only 2 drivers who have led over 100 laps so far this season. Next highest would be Destin Bolin, who has led 98, so just a tick under 100 laps led for Destin, who is a 2-time winner this season. Well, we've been following the battle up here at the front. Let's take a look towards the tail end of the field. Who are some of the drivers that are struggling this afternoon? And looks like Anthony McCrory, who actually was in the lights race here yesterday, so would have thought that extra track time would have helped him out, unless he's back here, and this is a strategy that he's actually trying to implement to save tires. But also Daniel Voiles back here in the 26. We talked about him and Nathan Norman, both outside the top 30 in points. Former winners need to get back up above the 30th in standings cut line for their wins to even remotely count towards a wild card spot. Laura Chung back here as well. Laura coming into this one 18th in points. She has been on a free fall the last few weeks. And Dylan Poteet also back here. Poteet, who we thought was getting the season turned around after the solid top 5 outing back at Darlington. He comes into this race, though, 27th in points after losing 6 spots at Chicagoland a couple of weeks ago. So looks like maybe they haven't yet got that season turned around for the Camry out of Fortnite Squad Racing. A couple other drivers I'm noticing back here. Matt McIntyre, who comes into this one 6th in overall points. He's mired back in the 37th spot. Benjamin Miles and Summer Henson, who are both right now in playoff positions via where they are in the point standings. They are in the 4th and 6th wild card spots respectively. And they're back here. Nathan Norman, another driver who need to get up in the top 30 in points. He's mired back here in the field as well. And James Qualls, who lost the points lead at Chicagoland. He's back here in the 32nd spot. It's a hornet's nest back here. Look at this, side by side, almost 3 wide on occasions. You've got Cody Lamas in this group, Osborne, Destin Bolin, Charles Sanford, Daniel Bouchard, Eric Sadler. Things pretty calm up at the front of the field, but it's a maelstrom back here from about 20th place on back to the rear of the field. A couple of drivers have really faded back, so you kind of look at those that weren't set up for the long run. Matt Haas is all the way back here to the 23rd spot. Jessica Shelton has faded back to 17th. Cole Deaver back into 14th place. Michael Norman has dropped out of the top 10 to 13th. And pole sitter Quentin Moore is now also out of the top 10. About to lose the 11th spot to Kyler Sustre. Another driver that's a former winner of this event is Jack Mitchell. And Mitchell is moving forward along with fellow Chevrolet Austin LaPlante. Mitchell actually was a part-time non-charter driver last season, attempted to qualify for this race 1 year ago, and what'd he do? Put his 01 car on the pole. So obviously really likes this D-shaped mile and a half and looking strong here. Up to the 9th spot, now hounding Zachary Fitzwater for P8. Starting to see things spread out here up at the front here around the top 5 area. As battle is on for second, and Eric Monaco has opened up a bit of a gap now between himself and that three-way battle for the runner-up spot. Brommer currently in possession of it. Breton and Snyder hunting. Let's take a look at lap times and how much fall-off there's been since the start of this race. Looking at most of these drivers here, their fastest laps were around the 28.5 second mark. Maybe 28.6, 28.7s. They're now running 30 flats, so we're looking already at over a full second of fall off, maybe as much as a full second and a half. Keep that in mind for when we end up having green flag pit stops. Now, back when we ran at Chicagoland, and I believe, no, actually I don't think Darlington as much. But at, well, no, it might have been at Darlington too. When we ended up having the green flag pit stops, we ended up seeing a number of drivers actually gain track position with the undercut strategy. And we actually saw the same thing in the race yesterday in the late series. We didn't get to see it fully play out because unfortunately a caution came out right after the pit stop cycle was completed. And we can't really say much in the pit stops we had near the end of the race because there were a number of drivers that were able to make it on fuel and stayed out. But it will be interesting to see here if these Cup drivers do green flag pit stops, if those drivers that short pit, if they're going to gain track position or merely just maintain it. Well, just exactly how worn are these tires? How does it affect how they have to make their way around the racetrack? Let's go on board with the Mug Root Beer Toyota Camry of Ryan Brommer. Riding on board with Ryan Brommer, we could observe him adjusting his line to reel in Eric Monaco, and here's the battle for the lead. Not able to keep that momentum up down the back straightaway. Monaco would have had the preferred line here on the top side through 3 and 4 anyways, but that was really cool to kind of watch Ryan Brommer back up his entry to the corner, wait till the center, till the nose got pointed, and then get back into the gas. Again, a nice run out of turn 4. Gets right up to the back bumper of Eric Monaco. Let's see if he tries to make a move down here into 3. He's going to make a move to the bottom. He probably want to make it down in 1. Oh, we got pit stops going on? No, we do not have pit stops going on. I wonder because we saw Breton go way up the track there, but he was just getting up to where they ain't with the momentum he had, and he'll swing around the outside of Ryan Brommer. Trying that second lane again over here in 1 and 2. Didn't work out quite as well. Still side by side for the second spot. Now he should be able to get the power down if he can get those left side tires down into the grip line. And he should, I think, clear here on the front straightaway. Benjamin Snyder trying to follow in line. As all this battling going on, Monaco continues to show the way. Over 50 laps into this race, Monaco has led the last 45 laps. The only other drivers that have taken turns out in front, 2 laps led for Connor Breton, 2 for Ryan Brommer, and then 1 by our pole sitter Quentin Moore. Monaco has led all the rest. So something I have been noticing with all that battling going on, there is a second group of 4 cars here. Carson Gum, Kyle Langland, Jack Mitchell, and Alexander Rowe. That's 5th back to 8th. And they have slowly but steadily been chipping away at the advantage that that top 4 had. And I think part of it was because, as we saw, all that hard side-by-side racing. These 4 have been able to get themselves single-filed out pretty well, and they are starting to catch. They're only about 3.5 seconds back. When they were back with the bigger group, they were almost 4.5, 5 seconds away. So they're doing a good job here in somewhat organizing up to be able to try and get up there and make it an 8-car lead pack. They are on the same straightaway as the top 4. Then you've got another group back here, much bigger group. Austin LaPlante leading them in the 9th position, with Kyler Sustre currently holding down 10th. Another driver I've been keeping an eye on here on the running order, and he seems to pick up a spot about every 2 or 3 laps, and that's the 24 car of Casey Hoyt. Now up to 16th position. You'll see him back there. There he is, the Raising Cane's Chevrolet. He is steadily working his way forward. Must have a very good long run car. As nearly contact right there as Michael Norman dove it to the inside of Kyler Sustre. I don't think Sustre knew he was even there. And Norman literally muscles his way by to get back into the top 10. Alexander Rowe and Kyle Langland, they're going to actually lose a little bit of ground here. Carson Gum, Jack Mitchell, let's see if those two can tandem together to get up there to the front runners. They are continuing to close up ground, and now Benjamin Snyder might be losing touch with the top 3, so that will help the 19 and the 01 in their efforts. Second place, side-by-side battle again with Breton and Brommer. And all Monaco's had to do is just hug that white line, and everything else is taken care of itself in his rearview mirror. We mentioned about when Connor Breton picked up the victory here 1 season ago. That was his first career victory, and he was a rookie. So Eric Monaco trying to make it back-to-back seasons where a yellow striped back bumper is parked in victory lane here at Charlotte. Brommer going to complete the pass around Breton to move back into second, and now Breton's going to cross him over. This battle, these two are going to be sick of seeing each other, it seems. They are back and forth for the runner-up spot. Maybe pit stops will break him up. We're going to have to keep a very close watch here because, as stated, the lights drivers yesterday, they were able to go about 60 to 65 laps on a tank of fuel. I believe that the Cup cars can go a little bit further than that, but I think that we're now nearing the crest of 60 laps complete. We got to maybe sit up, take notice of if anybody makes the dive onto pit road. I'm looking back there at that pack of cars with Sustre and LaPlante, Bouchard, Norman, Fitzwater. I gotta wonder if those might be some of the drivers, some of the first ones on pit lane here. You come to pit road early, you get two benefits. One, more than likely a rather less congested pit road. Second, you get the benefit of those fresh tires on your outlap. The thing you gotta be concerned about is the delta. Where is pitting at a certain point going to have you cycled around to? Will you be by yourself with clean air? Will you be in a big pack of cars? A lot of drivers usually prefer at a track like this to be in a group of about 3 or 4 drivers. They don't want to be in a big pack where there's a lot of checkup and a lot of side drafting. But they certainly also don't want to be by themselves, because with the big rear wings that we've got on the back of these cars here this season, allowing that maximum downforce, draft definitely comes into play. Well, Brommer and Breton, despite the fact that they've been literally going at each other the last 10 to 15 laps, they have actually been able to reel in Eric Monaco as well. And you got to think that the crew on the 45, they're listening in to radio communication of all the other drivers, trying to figure out when they're going to come to pit road, because if you're Monaco, maybe you can preempt them, come down pit road the same lap that they do, take away their tire advantage. Also going to be big for a lot of drivers that are struggling with their race cars right now for that pit stop, be able to get some adjustments, and that might actually help them be able to be a little bit more competitive here for the remainder of this race. Now, again, we weren't exactly certain if we were looking at a 1-stop or a 2-stop race. If we end up having anybody come to pit road prior to the completion of lap 80, then we know it's a 2-stop race, which could put us very close to the type of scenario we saw in yesterday's Light Series race, where it was who can make it on fuel and who can't. If we end up having our majority of the field come to pit road after lap 80 is complete, then more than likely that takes pit road completely out of the conversation for the remainder of the event, and it would be a 1-stop race overall. Now let's check in on our co-points leaders coming into this afternoon's race. Right now, Carson Gum would have said points lead, as he's holding down a spot in the top 5, currently in the 5th position. Levi McIntyre is back in that front group. There's the 99. Last time by scored in 16th place in the Nutella Dark Horse Mustang. We highlighted Kyle Langland, who's continuing to have a great day up inside of the top 10. Let's highlight the other go-or-go-home driver that qualified his way into this weekend's event, Bryce Egan, currently just inside the top 20 in that Air Jordan Camry out of Haas Racing. The two drivers that failed to qualify this week were Trey Wright out of Blue Oval Automotive and Autumn Brooks out of Garage 55. Just noticed RJ Bishop has cracked the top 15. RJ 16th in points coming into this one. He, a couple of weeks ago, was actually up in a playoff spot via wild card, but drifted out of that scenario. Now trying to fight his way back in, it would appear, as he'll make a move to the inside of LaPlante for 14th position. There's Casey Hoyt. We talked about noticing him working his way forward. Right now he's in 13th, 3-time winner last season, the defending Rookie of the Year champion, albeit then was driving a Ford for Lake Effect Autosport. As, oh, we got pit stops. I saw Kyle Langland in, and the race leader as well, Eric Monaco, throwing down the gauntlet on the rest of the field. The first one to pit lane. Looks like those are the only two that are going to come to pit road this time, and this is before lap 80, so 2-stop race potentially. Ryan Brommer's going to stay out an extra lap. But here comes Connor Breton, Benjamin Snyder, Carson Gum closed up a lot of ground on these two on the pit road entry. Norman is in, along with Casey Hoyt, Austin LaPlante. Let's hope, fingers crossed, we can see these green flag pit stops cycle through. Matt Haas, Laura Chung, Daniel Voiles all in this lap also. Waiting on the leader, Ryan Brommer. When does he make the dive? He'll stay out another lap. Mitchell's coming in, however. From unofficially second, Bouchard and Fitzwater stay out. Bishop stays out. Here comes Sustre. Alexander Rowe. Cody Lamas, top of your screen, also coming in. Looks like Charles Sanford, Matt McIntyre, Dylan Poteet all in this lap. Here comes Ryan Brommer to the pit lane. Bouchard will stay out another lap. Fitzwater's in. Bishop will stay out as well. Doesn't look like anybody's going to be able to stretch it to lap 80. That's asking a lot. Another 9 laps. So guess what, folks? If indeed we can avoid a caution this afternoon, final pit stop of the day is going to take place probably around 10 laps to go. Oh, no, we've got skid marks up there in 3 and 4, but we're still green. We're still green. I don't know what happened, but we are still green. Lights are still green around the racetrack. But something did happen up there. You saw the skid marks. You saw the smoke as Bouchard makes the dive onto pit lane. Number of others as well. And now we have to wait and see how this all cycles around. Kyle Langland was one of the first ones on pit road along with Eric Monaco. Let's find, if we can, the 45. There he is. Ryan Brommer right there with him. Monaco should potentially cycle back out to the race lead, as they're scoring Reggie Fogelman, the leader. Has the 5 yet to pit, or is he on pit road? May have crossed pit lane, or crossed the start finish line on pit road. Yes, exactly what he did, but hey, that's a bonus point. That's a lap led. But I believe now that is going to put the 45 back out in front. Let's see when they cross the line this time, if indeed he jumps up to P1, and he will. So Monaco will go back to the point. Ryan Brommer will cycle out to second. Connor Breton will now be third. 4th place, Jack Mitchell. And 5th is going to be Carson Gum. What happened to Benjamin Snyder on that pit stop? He's last time by scored in 13th. Looks like he's actually now up here in 8th. So 6th is Kyler Sustre. 7th is, or actually no, 7th is going to be Benjamin Snyder. Eric Sadler's a lap down. Only car 1 lap down. 8th position right now is going to be Zachary Fitzwater. Daniel Bouchard up to 9th, and Alexander Rowe is going to complete your top 10. Kyle Langland back in 11th. Bryce Egan in 12th. 13th, RJ Bishop. 14th, Laura Chung. 15th will be Casey Hoyt. Pole sitter Quentin Moore back in 16th. Nick Gunther 17th. 18th, Cody Lamas. 19th, Austin LaPlante. And Michael Norman in 20th. 21st, Destin Boland. 22nd, Keith Batson. Jessica Shelton, 23rd. Levi McIntyre, 24th. 25th, Matt Haas. 26th will be Jesse Turner. 27th, James Qualls. 28th place, Dylan Poteet. 29th, Caleb Fogler. 30th will be Cole Deaver. 31st, Kyle Matthews. Reggie Fogelman in 32nd. 33rd, Dylan Young. 34th, Joshua Osborne. Nathan Orman, 35th. 36th, Benjamin Miles. 37th, Summer Henson. 38th, Charles Sanford. 39th will be Anthony McCrory. In 40th place is going to be Daniel Voiles. Matt McIntyre all the way back in 41st. And then 42nd, 1 lap down, is Eric Sadler. You guys have already seen what occurred up there in the middle of 3 and 4, causing those skid marks and that lingering smoke for a brief moment. Did not bring out a yellow. We stay green, and the battle is on for the top spot. Ryan Brommer to the inside of Eric Monaco. Looking to clear off of turn 2. Not quite going to be clear. Now I think he is, with a little bit of a bubble push. from Jack Mitchell. Mitchell now up here in the conversation. Couple of former Coke 600 winners, the 01 and the 88 in this lead group. And here comes Mitchell to the inside for the lead. We talked about how Mitchell was working his way up through the field, appeared to have a very good long run car. Now that he's out in clean air, keep an eye on him. Former winner this season from Phoenix, the driver who coming into this afternoon had led the most laps so far this year. And now he has got his patriotic McDonald's Chevrolet out in clean air. Mitchell was one of the Cup drivers that took part in the lights race here yesterday, so he's got that added track time, and he seems to be putting it to good use. Believe it was season 4? Let me double check on this. When Jack Mitchell ended up picking up the victory here formerly at Charlotte. Nope, it wasn't season 4. Maybe it was season 3. Nope, wasn't even season 3. Was it season 2? I thought he was a former Charlotte winner. I guess not. I'm looking at it right now. William Brock was the winner back in season 1. Season 2 was Benjamin Miles. Season 3 was Levi McIntyre. I remember that one. That was, I think, another fuel strategy race. Season 4, Mitchell Collins. Season 5 was Diego Yepes. Season 6 was Destin Bolin. And then, of course, last season was Connor Breton. So actually, no, this whole time I've been under the assumption that Jack Mitchell was a former winner of this event. That's not the case. He's actually looking for his first ever victory here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And looking technically for his second checkered flag in a row. Mitchell ended up winning the All-Star race 1 week ago at the Atlanta Super Speedway, and that photo finish with Carson Gum. So he's definitely got the momentum, and it looks like we're about to have some traffic up ahead. Drivers on the tail end of the lead lap. Matt McIntyre going to be the first one of those. It's like he's not entirely off the pace, but he's obviously running slower lap times than these front runners. He's about 2/10 off on his laps from what I'm seeing right now. And he's about to get reeled in. Now, obviously, you guys have seen it. I have not. I'm wondering if Matt McIntyre might have had something to do with that incident up at the top groove of 3 and 4. Might have gotten some damage and might have him a little bit off the pace in terms of aero-wise. Well, let's see how the leaders do getting around this 21 car, who's going to probably try and fight as best he can to stay on the lead lap. Right now, only one driver, 1 lap down in Eric Sadler, who may have also been involved in that turn 3 and 4 incident. Again, I don't know. I have not seen the live feed. You guys have. Let's see what Mitchell's going to be able to do. Traffic was not all that kind yesterday in the late series race. And Mitchell, he's looking low. At McIntyre holding his line. Mitchell could have, I think, gotten to the inside of him there on the front straightaway, elected not to. Now he'll make the move down the back straightaway. He'll get some help from Ryan Brommer. Almost pushes him up into Matt McIntyre, that much speed that he carried. And McIntyre will continue to fight on that top line. That's going to wad them up here for these top 4, and Mitchell cannot make the move, not at least this time. What about some of these guys back here? Oh, smoke up ahead! Oh my gosh, what has happened? Massive pile up on the back straightaway. Saw a couple of cars up and over. One, I think, was Benjamin Miles. Dylan Poteet was stopped there. And that was right in front of the leaders. I think the leaders all got through, but whoa. There's the caution that changes everything, folks. I believe that yellow flag, pit road is now open. I believe that yellow flag is going to have everybody able to make it on fuel. And look at the drivers on pit lane. I see Osborne, Deaver, RJ Bishop, Kyle Matthews, Benjamin Miles, Jessica Schulten, Nathan Normand. There's a green car behind Dylan Young I can't make out. That could be Caleb Fogler. As pits are open, driver's going to take advantage of this, and we're going to go back and take a look at what happened. No idea how this even started. I just saw the smoke there. It looked like it was all the way down on the apron there of turn 1. Like, where did this even start? Looks like it's going to be up here starting with the 98 of RJ Bishop and the 93 of the rookie Kyle Langland. This is going down into turn 1 here. Langland just drives it in too deep, gets into Bishop, and then look at that, just walls him, and then there goes Norman. Deaver and Poteet involved right there. There's the shot from Schulten, and I think that was Kyle Matthews. Caleb Fogler comes flying in. Oh my gosh, Reggie Fogelman. Look at the shot by Osborne. Holy cow. Violent impacts here. Let's see if we can get another look at it. That is crazy. Here it is again. Now, Langland just drives it in too deep. And then just watch this. There's the shot from Fogler, and then here comes Osborne flying in. Fogelman goes flying. Benjamin Miles gets piled into. Charles Sanford was in it. Unbelievable. We're going to get a still shot here of turn 2. And you'll get a look of all of it unfolding here. The contact will have already happened between RJ Bishop and Kyle Langland. Here it is. Take a look. And that would have been back somewhere around the 7th, 8th, 9th position battle. Cars flipping and tumbling, then Fogelman catches air, Osborne gets clobbered, and then watch Benjamin Miles right here. Hello! Well, just like that, what was looking like it was going to be a relatively clean race, we have ourselves a massive pile-up, and you want to know who would probably get the All-State Good Hands Award? James Qualls. This is what the Wix Filter Chevrolet saw. Little contact there, but could have been a lot worse. Jesse Turner also did a great job getting through all that. So caution out for the first time this afternoon, and it's a big one. Gets us ready for a restart. We should have this restart take place within the window after those pit stops of nobody having to worry about fuel for the rest of this race. We'll be going green, just a little shy of 70 laps to go. The fallout from that, we've got 29 drivers currently running, 25 on the lead lap, 2 of them on the tail end of the lead lap in Eric Sadler and Dylan Young. Matt McIntyre, Daniel Voiles, Anthony McCurry, Summer Henson are all 1 lap down. And then here's the list of drivers out of the race after what we just saw. In order, Keith Batson, Reggie Fogelman, Jessica Schulten, Cole Deaver, Joshua Osborne, Nathan Ormond, Michael Norman, RJ Bishop, Dylan Poteet, Kyle Matthews, Caleb Fogler, Benjamin Miles, and Charles Sanford. All 4 of the S3 Motorsports cars wiped out in that one single wreck. Daniel Bouchard, Ryan Brommer is the race leader. Won the battle off of pit road, but he's the 3rd car starting on that outside line. Jack Mitchell, Daniel Bouchard, Connor Breton, and Bryce Egan were your top 5. As Brommer's going to get down to the bottom. They got around Dylan Young, so he'll remain a lap down. The 12 of Eric Sadler right now on the tail end of the lead lap, trying to stay ahead of the 87. Mitchell going to move into 2nd place. Runs the top line there through 3 and 4. Might be trying to set up a run on the front straightaway. And here comes Brommer to put Sadler back off of the lead lap. Ooh, near contact there with him and Voiles. As Matt McIntyre trying to run away. If a caution were to come out, he would be on the tail end of the lead lap right now. Everybody else who was on the tail end of the lead lap or trying to get their lap back, they are back to -1. Brommer only 1 car to deal with. Mitchell and Bouchard nose to tail for 2nd. They'll get around the slower machine of Daniel Voiles and like to get back up there to the race leader. Meanwhile, a bunch of other drivers having some difficulty with traffic. Kyler Sustre now into 4th. Carson Gum into 5th. They were having some difficulty getting by Dylan Young. Now they're going to have to deal with the 61 of Anthony McCrory. They'll make pretty quick work of him. Eric Sadler next on the hit list. And he'll look to the inside down the back straightaway. This caution allowed a bunch of drivers to be able to catch back up, and now we've got them in the conversation, maybe for the race win this afternoon. Nick Gunther is now up to the 8th position. Levi McIntyre is up in the top 10 now as well. Cody Lamas is not that far back. Same for Zachary Fitzwater. So got some new faces now in this conversation, along with that 33 of Daniel Bouchard, who's now up to P2. The rookie out of Michael Norman Motorsports, looking really strong right now in that Hershey's Dark Horse Mustang. Daniel coming into this one 17th in points. If I'm being perfectly honest, he's been a very under-the-radar driver this year. I've not talked a whole lot about him, I don't believe. He's been quietly consistent. He's 3 points out of the Rookie of the Year points battle. 2nd in the standings, only to Summer Henson. So keep an eye out for him here in this one. Might be looking for his first win of his Duracell Next Gen Cup Series career as Ryan Brommer continues to show the way. It's looking very unlikely that we're going to have anybody eclipse the 65 laps led by Eric Monaco, so we will preemptively give him the bonus point for most laps led this afternoon. As Matt McIntyre appears to be up to speed. He's not, like we said, when he was caught, he was not that far off the pace. But now Mitchell's going to try to get by him here and make it a 3-car fight for the top position. All that difficulty with traffic now is broken 3rd place off all the way back here to 4th, which is now Levi McIntyre. Eric Monaco is in the 5th spot. Nick Gunther in 6th. Carson Gum 7th. With Levi moving up to where he is, now Levi would be the new points leader heading into next week. He's up 3 spots on Carson Gum. Those two came into this race tied for the top spot in overall standings. So a good comeback there for him. Anthony McCrory damaged and off the pace. Autumn Brooks failed to qualify for the event, so really the lone Mazda here in the conversation to try and take this victory. Nick Gunther, first time we've really talked about him all day, and that's because he's been mid-pack most of this afternoon. Was really not making any forward progress, but That caution, a big break for him. Now he's up in the top 10, trying to crack into the top 5. Nick Gunther up there on the all-time wins list as well. Nick, a 7-time winner in Duracell Cup Series competition, 3 shy of most victories overall, which right now is a tie with Carson Gum and Jose Mills, 10 wins apiece. Carson, of course, tying Jose after his most recent victory back at Chicagoland. Levi trying to break away from this group, trying to catch up to these top 3, but looking at the lap times right now, and Levi is, well, actually that time by, he actually might have gained a little bit. He gained about a tenth to a tenth and a half. And they're about to catch another slow car. That is Summer Henson. That's something we're going to have to keep an eye on this race as well, because there are a lot of drivers after what we saw occur from turn 2 all the way to the back stretch. There's a lot of drivers that are out there logging laps, trying to finish as best they can, but they are damaged and off the pace. You saw Summer Henson just get put a lap down. We know Anthony McCurry, Daniel Voiles, Dylan Young. We know that these are drivers that are all badly damaged and are off the pace. If the leaders end up catching them at pretty bad moments in time, it could be an opportunity for drivers back there 4th, 5th, 6th to be able to close up and maybe have something to say about this thing. They can no longer rely on pit road. Pit road is out of the question now, with that yellow flag allowing everybody to come down, fill it full of fuel, and be able to make it the rest of the scheduled distance. We've passed the 100 lap mark, less than 60 laps to go, and Daniel Bouchard showing the way. How many laps has Daniel Bouchard led previously coming into this afternoon? Only 9 circuits out in front. So probably, I think, safe to say, the strongest he has looked all season. Oh, and Daniel Bouchard just blew up from the lead. Bouchard's engine just let go from the lead. Are you serious? And just like that, what was going to potentially be a top 3 finish, if not maybe his first career win, figuratively and literally goes up in smoke. Bouchard safely made it onto pit road. But what a punch to the gut for the rookie driver. I was going to mention about the fact that Mitchell Collins is a former winner of this event, and he would eventually go on to drive that 33 car for Michael Norman Motorsports, but oh man, that is crazy. From the race lead of all things. And he's already made the left-hand turn to the garage area. That is a tough break there for Daniel Bouchard, who was looking like he was going to have a really, really good points day. And just like that, he's going to finish this race in 29th position. That is not in any way indicative of where he probably should have finished this afternoon. Mechanical failure for him, and that's got to have some other drivers a little bit on pins and needles as to what exactly went wrong there, and could I be in danger of having that happen to me? We talk about this being the longest race of the season. It is mentally and physically taxing on the drivers, but it's also taxing on the equipment, on the race car itself. Case in point, what we just saw right there. Ryan Brommer to the inside of Jack Mitchell. These two might not want to mess about too much, because I'm noticing Levi McIntyre, I believe he's caught the draft of Matt McIntyre, and not that far behind them, Carson Gum, Nick Gunther, and that pack of cars, they're starting to close up the gap. So it's no longer a mano-a-mano. We're about to have a big pack of cars up here in the conversation for this thing. And what about traffic? Looks like Dylan Young would be the first car they would encounter. He's coming out of turn 2. They were, I think, just entering into turn 1, so a little bit of time before we end up catching up to the Wawa Ford. And Brommer will take the top position. But look at this. Levi McIntyre is there. Look at the run he's able to get. The draft he's able to get off the back of the 21. And he'll move to the inside of Matt McIntyre. Now he's up here looking for the top position. Levi, a former winner here at Charlotte. This I do actually know for certain because we went back and looked moments ago. Trying to become a two-time winner of the Coca-Cola 600. And then take a look at this group back here. They are closing in. Lap times much faster in this pack. Carson Gum, Bryce Egan, Nick Gunther, Connor Breton. Quentin Morris been keeping his car up here in the top 10 all day long after starting on the pole. Alexander Rowe here also, along with Austin LaPlante. And then trying to stay in touch, Zachary Fitzwater, Kyler Sustre, and Cody Lamas. I believe these are really the last of the drivers that have a legitimate shot of getting caught up there. All these drivers I think got held up by slower traffic. Now they're back in their own little group with Kyle Langland, Eric Monaco, who led the most laps this afternoon, Benjamin Snyder, Matt Haas, Casey Hoyt, Destin Bolin, Laura Chung, and Jesse Turner. As we were away looking at that rear of the field pack, Levi McIntyre has gone to the point. Levi, obviously, by proxy of being tied for the overall points lead, he is the highest running driver in the standings without a checkered flag so far this season. He was a two-time winner last year. Missed out in a tiebreaker in battling for the championship. This season coming in, looking for redemption. The consistency has been there, scoring 3 top 5s and 7 top 10s in these first 13 races, but he'd love that icing on the cake, that checkered flag right here at Charlotte to maybe solidify himself a spot in the playoffs. Jack Mitchell right there behind him. Little ways back now to Ryan Brommer, who is battling with Matt McIntyre. Don't know why the Pepsi products would battle with each other. They should be working together. Mug Root Beer, the root beer product provided by Pepsi, and Matt, of course, with the Pepsi logo on the hood. And here comes the rest of that group. Carson Gum, Nick Gunther, Bryce Egan, they're all here. And there's traffic up ahead to deal with as well. Summer Henson and Anthony McCrory as McIntyre pulls away for the moment on Jack Mitchell. I don't know what happened to Mitchell, but he lost a ton of ground. McIntyre looking low. Henson's not going to let him by. It's going to woe up the 99. That's going to help that group behind him. Levi's still stuck behind the 78, who continues to run low. Look at him have to check up right there. Here comes the momentum. Mitchell, high, wide, and handsome, couldn't get to the outside of Levi, who now will get to the inside of Summer Henson, and everybody's going to try and get single file to get by the 78, who's been relegated up to the top. Looks like they're all doing a pretty good job of that. Carson Gum now going to look low on Jack Mitchell. Nope, not going to be able to get him here. These two rekindling their battle from that photo finish last week in the All-Star race at Atlanta Superspeedway. And now Anthony McCrory next on the hit list, and McIntyre will get to the inside of him on the front straightaway, so not going to have nearly as much difficulty getting around the 61 as he did around the 78. An entire straightaway before you get to the next car in Eric Sadler. So, little bit of time here for these drivers to now just concentrate on each other rather than on preparing themselves for race traffic control. McIntyre trying to pull away. Battle is on for second. Carson Gum, he's got former teammate Nick Gunther right there behind him. Remember, the Mazdas that currently are fielded out of Garage 55 last season were fielded out of Fortnite Squad Racing in kind of a split garage. You had Carson Gum and Dylan Poteets machines out of one side, Anthony McCurry and Nick Gunther's Mazdas out of the other side. They then decided to branch off to Garage 55. They still get some support from Fortnite Squad Racing, but now their own organization, if you will. And Carson is closing up on Levi for the race lead. The tie for the top of the point standings is about to become the battle for the race lead here at Charlotte. And there are still a bunch of drivers back there that still have yet to be heard from as well. Connor Breeton's back up in the top 5. Bryce Egan's looking for his first career win as a non-charter driver. Last driver to do that, can anybody remember? It was last season, Matthew Rodriguez. Ryan Brommer fades back to 7th. You got Alexander Rowe up here. Quentin Moore still's got a shot to go coast to coast. Pole to win. Fitzwater here as well. These drivers could be in trouble. LaPlante, Sustre, and Lamas of not being able to stay up with this lead group. They had a little bit of difficulty getting around Anthony McCurry. They're currently behind Matt McIntyre, who is slightly, not very much, but slightly off the pace. And wow, they closed up that gap on Eric Sadler very quickly. There was a full straightaway between McIntyre and Sadler when I checked last, and now he's on the back bumper of the T-Mobile Mustang out of Young Motorsports. Levi, I think, has a very good car through 1 and 2, because this is the second time that I've seen a driver right on his back bumper, and then when we check back, they are a long ways behind him. Mitchell was the first time, now Carson Gum. And both times that I checked, they were entering into turns 3 and 4. I think Levi's got a very good car to rotate through the center over in 1 and 2. He's obviously got the clean air advantage as well. And look at the gap he's got right now back to Carson Gum. Question is, can he maintain it? Going to have another car to deal with here, Daniel Voiles. That's a fellow Ford. He didn't have any trouble getting around the other Ford of Sadler, so you got to think there's got to be some manufacturer alliance there where Voiles will potentially move out of the way of Levi. Levi will probably try and make the move right here off of 4 on the front straightaway, which he will. And trying to maintain the gap back to Carson Gum, who's in a good battle with Jack Mitchell and Nick Gunther for the second spot. Well, actually, Carson's going to hold on to second, and now the battle will be for third between Gunther and Mitchell. Bryce Egan looking to close up on that. Carson wanted to go low. Daniel Voiles almost looked like he wanted to pinch him down there, and Carson forced his way through. Voiles might be trying to play a little bit of defense for a fellow Mustang. Don't want to play too much defense, though. That second, third, fourth place driver, they won't appreciate that. They'll move you. This has been a long one here this afternoon. We are now 3/4 of the way through. Closing up on 30 laps to go, and Levi McIntyre showing the way. Carson's in second, Jack Mitchell third, then Nick Gunther and rookie Bryce Egan. Right now, your top 5. Let's check ahead, see about any potential traffic Levi's got to worry about. I think the next car he's going to have to deal with is going to be Summer Henson again, who did not give him a very good time the last time he encountered her. James Qualls is on the tail end of the lead lap, appears to be somewhat up to speed. So it will be the 78 who's coming out of turn 2. Levi making his way through the center of 1 and 2. He'll only be a few laps away from when he'll encounter that AC Delco Toyota once again. We'll see if Summer Henson plays a little nicer this time. Remember, we talked about the alliances of the Fords. Well, Summer Henson's a Toyota, so she'd be doing everything to try and hold up Levi and give an opportunity for either Carson Gum or maybe Bryce Egan back there get a Toyota victory. Remember earlier on this evening when we were watching On Board with Ryan Brommer, adjusting his line, figuring out what he needed to do to close up the gap for position on then race leader Eric Monaco. This is exactly the type of situation we're in right now. Carson Gum, Jack Mitchell, Nick Gunther, they're all trying to figure out what they got to do to be able to close up on McIntyre, who says, heck with going to the bottom, I'm going to go to the top of this 78 car, and that may actually work out in his favor. Great move by Levi McIntyre. Situational awareness, remembering from last time, and look how that panned out in his favor, because now they're stacked up, blocked in both lanes behind the 78, Mitchell and Gum. And now Carson Gum's going to pay the price along with Connor Breton. Carson's going to fall out of the top 5. He may not even be able to get down in front of Ryan Brommer there. He may lose a couple more spots before he's able to complete the pass. So instead of helping the Toyotas, Summer Henson kind of got put in a situation and messed up the Toyota plan. That right there could be the move that wins this race. Even after all these laps that Levi's been able to lead, that move around the 78 car, choosing the top side through 1 and 2, that could be the move that maybe solidifies this checkered flag for Levi, because that was very impressive. Gunther trying to clear for second place, the highest he's run all night long. Now Bryce Egan to the inside for third on Mitchell. James Qualls, Dylan Young, potentially Anthony McCurry next on the list for Levi McIntyre to have to deal with. It's been very good getting through the slower traffic recently. Only trouble spot he had was not this most recent encounter, but the encounter before that with the 78. Right now, realistically, I would say that only the top 10 have a chance at this victory. Back to Zachary Fitzwater. Traffic, I think, is going to have to play a part into it, but there's a number of drivers over 5 seconds back there. 11th place, LaPlante. 12th place, Sustre. 13th place, Cody Lamas. I don't see, outside of a caution, them having a chance of catching back up here and being in this conversation. Now, this is not a good scenario for Levi because Qualls just got around Dylan Young, and Levi's going to have to pass a couple of cars in succession here. See him go up to the middle groove, try and generate that run down the backstretch. He'll make the move on Young over here, going into 3. And then he'll try and get Qualls next. Alexander Rowe has suddenly found something. He is up to second place. Got around Nick Gunther. Jack Mitchell actually faded back. He's back to 6th, though I don't know what happened to him. But here comes the Ford Mustang out of Lake Effect Autosport. Alexander Rowe looking for his first victory since his rookie season in season 2 or 3 back at Pikes Peak. As now McIntyre will go to work on putting James Qualls a lap down. Rowe completed the pass around Young, so too did Nick Gunther. Connor Breton looking to do the same. Looks like Alexander Rowe will catch the 70 here on the back straightaway. Can he make a move going down into 3, or will he get boxed in behind the Wix Filter Chevrolet? It'll be the latter. That's going to help Levi. Or is it? Qualls might actually be somewhat up to speed. If Qualls gets up there and gets racy with McIntyre, which he's not going to now, Rowe is going to get to his inside, but that could have not worked out in the favor of the 99 car, and all of a sudden Levi looks back in his rearview mirror and there's second place, Alexander Rowe in the Dunkin' Donuts Ford. Things getting very interesting here in the closing stages. Next time by, it'll be 20 laps to go at Charlotte, and look at the run Alexander Rowe got out of 4. Down the front straightaway, looks to the inside. Levi can do nothing but watch as Alexander Rowe will move to the top position. 5th in the point standings coming into this race. Now McIntyre back to the bottom, says not so fast. These two drivers right now are looking good to lock themselves into the playoffs on points, but they both want to go to victory lane. Gunther looming in third. Breton currently in fourth. Fifth place, Bryce Egan. Brommer and Quentin Moore, they're still up here with a shot potentially. Carson Gum, Jack Mitchell, and maybe Zachary Fitzwater can get up there if the traffic holds up the front runners a little bit more. But they are starting to run out of time. As McIntyre back to the point. Here's the cross again. Rowe back to the bottom, headed for turn one. Nick Gunther's got a front row seat of all this. And why don't we take the opportunity to take a look at that as well? On board with the 55. Well, you listen to the plane with the throttle there. They're catching up to Anthony McCrory. The tires are definitely going away. Grip is at an all-time necessity to be able to make moves. They're slipping and sliding around. And right now, 3 drivers in a shootout here, closing in on 15 laps to go here at Charlotte. Alexander Rowe out in clean air. Levi McIntyre, we saw when we were on board with Nick Gunther, taking a couple of shots there, a couple of peaks, trying to get some clean air of his own. They're all going to catch the 78 of Summer Henson right here in the center of the corner, and she's going to be a tough pass once again. They'll get to the inside, all 3 of them here on the back straightaway. Put her in the rearview mirror. Did that potentially help Bryce Egan back there in 4th to get up here? Doesn't look like quite to the extent that he would have liked. Reminder that next week, folks, it's just the Cup Series drivers as they'll be at their 3rd Super Speedway stop of the season. Wildcard races will be at Progressive Super Speedway. Qualifying on Saturday, race will be on Sunday, and then the following week, Lights drivers are back in a doubleheader with the Cup Series drivers at Hillside Raceway as we continue on both series our push towards the playoffs. Well, Alexander Rowe, right now, he, McIntyre, Gunther all seem pretty equal. Nobody seems to have an advantage. The one advantage Alexander Rowe has is the clean air on his nose, putting dirty air down in his wake for McIntyre and Gunther to have to deal with. But both of them had a great 3 and 4 and look to close the gap back up here. For Alexander Rowe and Levi McIntyre, we mentioned about the fact that a victory for them would pretty much all but solidify them a spot in the playoffs with where they're currently situated. Levi co-points leader, Alexander Rowe 5th in the standings. How about for Nick Gunther? Nick coming into this one 19th in points, still searching for his first top 5 of the season. Looks like he's en route to get that here tonight. And as mentioned, looking for his 8th career victory in Duracell Cup Series competition. Unless we get a caution, these are the only drivers that are going to have a shot at this thing. Connor Breton's too far back, the defending winner of this race. Ryan Brommer, Quentin Moore, Bryce Egan, Carson Gunn, they're all too far back, and they're all battling it out right now for the final spot in the top 5. Is it going to come down to raw speed? Is it going to come down to potential traffic? 10 laps to go. We know it will not come down to fuel. We know everybody's good to go. Look at Levi driving it into 1 and 2. Up there into that top lane. Gives up on entry, tries to gain it back on exit. He's just trying everything he can, something a little bit different than Alexander Rowe to try and gain some ground. Had a really nice 3 and 4. Look how he closed in on Rowe and actually pulled away from Nick Gunther. Levi might have found something over there in the last set of corners. This time he drives it in deep on the bottom, but he got really tight through the center. Saw him have to lift. That's going to lose him a bit of ground down the back straightaway. He was good in 3 and 4 last time. Let's see if he can do it again this time. 3 and 4, you get a little bit more on the throttle time than you do down in 1 and 2. It's a wider sweeping corner, a little bit more speedier. And Levi maintains about 2.5, 3 car lengths between himself and Alexander Rowe. This time he'll try the middle groove through 1 and 2. That looked really good. Levi's going to have a nice run down the back straightaway. Can he get to the inside going into 3? Alexander Rowe going to cut him off. That top to bottom move there by Alexander Rowe, that caused a crosswind across the nose of the 99. The 26 of Daniel Voiles was just on pit road. Don't tell me. There's no way that this is a fuel strategy race. We had the caution come out after these drivers all pit. We went back green past the halfway point. We should be good to make it unless that's just Voiles getting out of the way of everybody. Is there any lead lap cars on pit road? No, it was just the 26 and the 61, who are both damaged off the pace and currently off the lead lap. Battle for the lead is on. McIntyre couldn't get the power down through the center of 1 and 2. This is going to be a good finish here. A couple of blue ovals duking it out, both for their first wins of the season. Look at the run by McIntyre. Middle groove through 3 and 4. He's going to have a run here going into 1. Can he make it stick is going to be the question. Does he try the slide job? Oh, he got back to the throttle through the center. I think he could clear if he wants to. Levi back to the point. Traffic up ahead. And now Levi with the move out in clean air. But Rowe right there with him. They're pitting! You're kidding me! There's no way! Back-to-back afternoons, we're going to have a fuel strategy race. The top 3 all coming to pit road. This is crazy! Quentin Moore's the leader. These pit stops taking place with less than 4 to go. Is there anyone that can make it? We saw Juan Garcia make it on fumes yesterday. I had this calculated wrong. I thought we were good. I thought we were going to make it the whole way. Quentin Moore stays out again. Brommer stays out. Fitzwater does. Gum does. But Bryce Egan's coming in from 5th. Who amongst these top 4 might have been saving fuel? Quentin Moore. The last time he started on the pole, he went on to win the race. That was at Dover for his first career win. He started on the pole this afternoon. He's only led 3 laps, but now he's on pit road. Brommer stays out. 2 laps remaining here at Charlotte. Did anybody else stay out with him? I don't know if they did or not. I don't know if LaPlante stayed out. He's scored 15th, so I would assume he's been to pit road. I'm looking to see as they cross the stripe if Ryan Brommer's the only one that's trying this. And he's going to go for it. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go. We saw a Toyota on fuel strategy win yesterday in the lights race. Now a Toyota doing the same thing here in Cup. Ryan Brommer, it's been a long time since he's been to victory lane. We've documented that. He's been through manufacturer changes. He's been through team changes since then. But the driver that comes into this one, fourth in the point standings, he's going to have enough fuel to get to the end. Ryan Brommer, back to victory lane, first time with Auto Junction Racing. He'll take the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. Are you joking me? Who even's going to get second? We're still waiting for scoring. After everybody else had to come to pit road, Brommer had the fuel to get to the end. Levi McIntyre is going to get second. Nick Gunther third. Alexander Rowe fourth. And Connor Breton will get fifth. Wow. What a race. And this is why Charlotte Motor Speedway is the track we have right after the All-Star break, and why we have it as the longest race of the season. Standings are now official. Ryan Brommer finally back to victory lane as he picks up the victory this afternoon at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Incredible. Ryan Brommer, that will be his 7th all-time career win in Duracell Next Gen competition. We don't have the winless streak number that he snapped readily available for you. We'll hopefully be able to give you that information next week. But he picks up the victory. Toyota will sweep the weekend. And Ryan Brommer, the question now is, did that victory just lock himself up a spot in this season's playoffs? He was 4th in points coming in, 31 points out of the points lead. He won't leave the points leader. Levi McIntyre, who was co-points leader with Carson Gum, finished in 2nd. But that's huge for Ryan. If he hits a streak of bad luck and falls out of the top 10 in points, he's got this win to be able to fall back on. Levi McIntyre had that great move on Alexander Rowe. I thought that was the move for the win, but couldn't make it on fuel. He'll have to settle for 2nd place, but he will solely take the points lead heading into Progressive next week. He'll have a pretty good points gap as well, as Carson Gum actually finished down in 15th position. Nick Gunther, with his first top 5 of the season, brings home in 3rd. Alexander Rowe, very much a player late in this one, will get a top 5 in 4th. And the outgoing defending winner of this race, Connor Breton, he'll bring it home in 5th. So good consistency continues for this 88 after his victory back at Darlington. Quentin Moore started on the pole. He'll get 9th. Rookie of the race is going to go to Bryce Egan, as he'll finish 7th. Jack Mitchell with a great run in 8th. Zachary Fitzwater, we didn't really talk a whole lot about Fitzwater today, and he's going to bring it home solidly inside of the top 10 in 9th. So he was, 20th in points coming into this one, so keep an eye on where he's positioned. Maybe in a wild card spot, playoff-wise, heading into next week. Who knows? And the rest of the top 10 was completed by Jesse Turner, another driver that we really didn't talk hardly at all about today. Those 4 drivers, able to sneak their way up into the top 10 late. Austin LaPlante gets 11th. Cody Lamas in 12th. 13th for Kyler Sustre. Dustin Boland 14th. Carson Gum, I don't know what happened to him there in that final pit stop. He was up in the top 10 all day long, but he ends up 15th after all is said and done. Laura Chung, 16th. Benjamin Snyder, Matt Haas, Eric Monaco, who led the most laps this afternoon, 65 in total. We'll get 19th, and Casey Hoyt will complete the top 20. Kyle Lang, a bit of an up-and-down day here for his series debut. He qualified well. He ran well beginning of the race, had that contact between himself and RJ Bishop that triggered our only caution of the afternoon. Had a bit of a damaged race car the rest of this event and finished in 21st, but good showing for him. He at least completed the race. Qualls, the bad luck continues for him. I don't know what's going on with the 70. He lost the points lead last time out at Chicagoland. He finishes outside the top 20 here this weekend in 22nd. Also some other drivers there too. Matt McIntyre, who was inside the top 10 in points coming to this one. He finishes poorly in 23rd. Eric Sadler, 3 laps down. He ended up coming to this race, the final driver inside the top 10 in points. And he does not get a very good run here this afternoon. Dylan Young, Daniel Voiles, who needs to get back in the top 30 in points, Anthony McCurry, Summer Henson, all multiple laps down. And then you take a look at the drivers that finished out of the race after that big wreck that we had. You have Daniel Bouchard out of the race, mechanical failure from the lead. And then Keith Batson, Reggie Fogelman, Jessica Shelton, Cole Deaver, Joshua Osborne, Nathan Ormond, Michael Norman, RJ Bishop, Dylan Pote, Kyle Matthews, Caleb Fogler, Benjamin Miles, and Charles Sanford all out of the race after we had that massive pile up off of turn 2 and onto the back straightaway. A couple of drivers there notable that finished out of this race. Michael Norman, who had just made his way into the top 10 in points with the DNF, and then Benjamin Miles and Cole Deaver, who were coming into this week in the 4th and 5th wildcard spots, respectively, with DNF's Summer Henson there as well, was actually in the 6th wildcard spot. And she ends up finishing last car running in 28th. So I mentioned about the fact that after Chicagoland, there were a lot of moving parts and pieces setting up the scenarios here for the second half of the regular season. Conclusion of this one, there's going to be a lot of moving pieces in the point standings as well. Be interesting to see what the playoff grid looks like heading into next week, which will be a wild card race. It's a super speedway race, 3rd of the season at Progressive Super Speedway. It'll just be the Cup drivers there that weekend. They'll then resume with the Lights drivers in 2 weeks' time when we head to Hillside Raceway. But congratulations to Ryan Brommer finally breaking back into victory lane as he takes the Coca-Cola 600 here this afternoon. Hope you guys enjoyed today's lengthy one here. If you did, be sure to give a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We showed you your full finishing results, and you're now taking a look at the point standings, the fallout from this afternoon's race, gearing up for Progressive Speedway next week. Until then, though, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.
The following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.